Hi, ladies. I hope everyone's doing great. So, just a quick update. Melodian and I recorded this whole talk earlier today, but thanks to the powers that be or the internet goblins, it just disappeared into the ether. So, to help her out, I'm just re-recording the information for this video for this informational session on insomnia and why can't you sleep after 40. So hopefully you find it useful. And at the end, I know she had a few questions that had been written in, so I will answer those. But if you have any additional questions after you've watched the video, please go ahead and ask them in the comments and I will get back to you on them. Okay? All right, so here is the training. First of all, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this, I know you can't sleep, which is terrible because it's something I see across the board with women in midlife where there's this moment and your body just stops letting you sleep. And whether that's not being able to fall asleep or the dreaded 2 to 3 a.m. wake ups, what I really want to show you today is how to understand what your body is actually telling you, and more importantly, how to get that sleep back. So, just for context, who is this person who's telling you this? My name is Claudine Francois, and I'm a functional health practitioner. I specialize in working with high performing women who are doing everything right and still not getting results, which of course we all know is super frustrating. And what I do is I use functional labs and physiology based protocols to figure out what's actually going on under the surface. But more importantly, I help women understand their bodies again, because what I keep seeing over and over is this: women being told your symptoms are normal or it's just part of aging. And of course, they're feeling anything but normal. And at some point, you start to wonder if you're going crazy. So that's what led me to develop my method, which I've written my book about, and part of what I'll be speaking with you about today. Okay, so are you waking up at 2 or 3 a.m.? Are you tired all day but wired at night? Now, let me ask you something. How many of you are doing everything right? You're eating well, trying to take care of your body, and still not sleeping the way you used to. Probably a lot of you. So that's exactly who I work with. And what I want you to understand is this: that is not random, and it's not something you have to live with, because your body isn't broken. Your body is responding to something, okay? And once you understand what that something is, sleep becomes something we can actually fix. Now, insomnia is not the problem, it's a signal. And this is where I want you to shift how you think about sleep, because most people think insomnia is the thing you need to fix. But in my work, insomnia is actually your body's way of saying something underneath isn't working the way it should. And so instead of asking, how do I fix my sleep? We start asking, why isn't my body letting me sleep? Your body isn't broken, it's responding. You'll hear me say that over and over. And what I do want to say clearly is that the women I work with are not doing anything wrong. In fact, they're doing all the right things and they are still not sleeping. So they are eating well. They are taking trying all the different supplements. They're doing everything they have been told to do. And they're still laying there at night thinking, why isn't this working? So if that's it, if that is you, just know this is not a willpower problem. This is not a discipline problem. There's something deeper going on, and you're not doing it wrong. You're just likely starting in the wrong place. So what is actually happening? What's happening is that your body doesn't feel safe enough to sleep. That might be news to you, right? That might be something you haven't heard before. The thing is that sleep is not something you force. It's something your body allows. And this is where most women get stuck, because they're trying to make themselves sleep. They're laying there thinking, I just need to relax. I just need to turn my brain off. But your body doesn't work like a switch. It's constantly assessing, am I safe? Do I have what I need? And if the answer is no, even subtly, it will keep you in a more alert state. So even if you're exhausted, your body won't fully let you shut down, right? Annoying, I know. So if you're exhausted but can't sleep, this is why so many women feel completely drained during the day, but wired at night, because your body is doing two things at once. One, it is depleted. Let me see if that's showing on my screen. It's depleted. So your minerals, your hormones, your energy, they're all running on empty, but it's also overstimulated, right? Hello, modern life. We are in a constant state of high alert. And those things together keep you stuck, because if your body isn't letting you sleep, again, it has a reason. You don't have the energy you need, but your system is still in go mode. And the off switch feels broken. This is what is called nervous system dysregulation. And it is one of the most common drivers of sleep disruption after 40. Let me tell you a story that will help solidify this a little bit, because this is something I see all the time. I had a client, we'll call her Jane, and she came to me completely exhausted. She was doing everything right. She was eating out, eating well, working out, trying to support her health, but she would wake up almost every night at 2 or 3 a.m. And she said to me, I don't understand. I'm so tired. Why can't I sleep? And what we found was her body wasn't actually resting. So it was constantly trying to stabilize the things underneath, like her blood sugar, her nervous system, the overall load she was carrying. So even though she was exhausted, her body was still on alert. So once we started supporting those deeper issues, those deeper pieces, her sleep started to stabilize. Not perfectly overnight, but steadily it started to get better until the point where she was actually sleeping through the night. And this is why it so often shows up after 40. It's because your stress response, this is the worst. Your stress response actually becomes less resilient as your hormones change in midlife. And things that never bothered you before can hit harder and linger longer. Now, why is this? Well, number one, our hormone sensitivity increases. So we have this. Depending where you are in midlife, you could be doing the fluctuating estrogen progesterone thing, or they could have already really dropped. But those directly affect your sleep, your cortisol levels, and how your nervous system responds. And so things that used to work, like just eating well or going to bed earlier, they don't work the same anymore. That's why that glass of wine or that good enough diet or certain supplements just aren't cutting it. And that's when women start to feel like something is off, but I don't know what. It's because your body needs a different approach. This is rarely just about sleep. It's usually a combination of things happening under the surface. So this is going to be a big bunch of pictures here, so I'm going to walk you through it. So it's things like nervous system dysregulation, right? When your body is stuck in that alert mode. We have hormone shifts, right? I just talked about that estrogen progesterone imbalance that causes poor sleep quality. We have blood sugar instability, so those crashes that trigger nighttime cortisol spikes. And then, I don't know if you can see this one, but it's gut inflammation. The thing with gut inflammation is it disrupts melatonin, and it disrupts your body's ability to recover, because melatonin, 80 to 90% of it is in your gut. So if your gut is messed up, you likely aren't making enough melatonin. And then we have the mineral depletion. So that low magnesium, zinc, potassium, that means you are less calm. And sleep is just where it shows up. It just happens to be the symptom. It's not the root cause. So let's talk about those 2 to 3 a.m. wake ups, because this is one of the biggest frustrations I hear. Your body is not randomly waking you up. It is trying to stabilize something in your body. And usually that is blood sugar or your cortisol levels. So what happens is your blood sugar drops overnight. Your body says, we need to fix this. And it releases cortisol. And cortisol's job is to wake you up. So, because it's alerting you to the danger. So now you're awake, your brain turns on, and suddenly you're thinking about everything. And because your body is waking you up to fix something. That is not insomnia. That is your body trying to solve a problem. Your body wants to fix it. It's trying to help. And this is why so many common solutions don't work, because they're trying to force you to sleep instead of addressing why your body isn't allowing it. Now, things like sleep hygiene, they can help a little, but they don't get to the root cause. Supplements can help a little, but they aren't the complete solution. Because if your body is still trying to solve a problem underneath, it's going to keep waking you up. So the goal isn't to knock you out, it's to get your body to let go. Because essentially you cannot force sleep. You have to remove what's preventing it, right? You have to remove the thing that is keeping your body from sleeping. So the real shift is to stop trying to fix sleep. So instead of asking, how do I sleep better? You start asking, why isn't my body letting me sleep? Because nothing is working. It's not because you need to try harder. And this is where we actually start to change things. And the order here matters. So we start with stabilizing blood sugar, which for most women just means actually eating real meals every 3 to 4 hours with enough protein. Okay, so no more of the intermittent fasting. If you're in this stage, your body, it cannot handle fasting or intermittent fasting. It's too much of a stressor on your body. So eating in the morning, eating midday, eating in the early evening, giving yourself a good 12 to 14 hours without food overnight, that is going to stabilize your blood sugar. Making sure you're supporting minerals, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium, because these are what help your body actually calm down. And then we want to calm the nervous system, not in a complicated way. This does not need to be hard. We have enough complicated things in our lives. Just simple things like breathing. You can take 3 long breaths at any point during the day. You don't need to be in a special room. You don't need to do anything insane. We don't need to set aside 30 minutes for meditation. Just really taking 3 slow, deep breaths to tell your body it's safe. So breathing, walking, getting outside, creating space for your body to come out of that constant go mode. And then we want to reduce inflammation by making your food easier to digest, supporting your gut, taking some of the load off of your system. So depending on you, your physiology, your body, specifically your DNA, that might be taking away certain foods. It might be adding other foods. It might be taking a digestive enzyme with all of your meals. It might be eating at different times. So doing whatever you need to do to reduce inflammation in your body. And remember, the order matters here. After you've done all those, then we layer in targeted support based on what your body is telling us it needs. Because when your body feels supported, it starts to let go, it starts to settle, it starts to sleep. And each step is important because it creates the conditions for the next one to work. If you skip the foundations, even the best targeted support will fall flat. And this isn't about doing more, it's about supporting your body better. Now, I will give you another example. I had a client who, again, had tried everything. She tried the sleep hygiene, the supplements, the different routines, like, oh, yeah, I'm doing my bedtime routine. She was still waking up multiple times a night. And what was happening for her was a combination of things. Number one, her minerals were depleted. Minerals are like the little tugboats that get everybody else to where they need to go. So if you don't have enough minerals, or you don't have the right combination of minerals, like in the right ratios, none of the tugboats are getting anywhere, which means none of your body's functionings are happening, or they're not happening well, or they're not happening correctly. So then things like sleep can go out the back door because your body's too stressed out trying to deal with all the things it has to try to make up for, because it doesn't have the minerals, it doesn't have the building blocks. So her minerals were depleted. Her body was underfueled during the day. I see this all the time. I'll have women who like maybe grab a coffee for breakfast, maybe grab a stick of cheese, and then they don't eat until dinner, right? So their body's running on cortisol all day and the blood sugar is going crazy because their body's trying to compensate. That's not helpful. So she was underfueled during the day, and her system was basically stuck in overdrive. So we did not start with more sleep supplements. We didn't need to add something to this mix. What we started with was supporting her minerals, right? Making sure her body had the basic building blocks to function. We stabilized her blood sugar, again, something her body needed. And we helped her body feel safe enough to rest, right? When the body's not putting out fires all over the place, it can actually do the normal standard operating procedures like sleeping at night, right? And within a few weeks, she started sleeping through the night, not because we forced it, but because her body was finally supported. Okay. Now, this is what I see all the time, doing everything right, but nothing is working. Once we support the body properly, sleep starts to shift. This is why I don't guess. I look at patterns. So I use things like the HTMA test for minerals. Oops, can't see that. There you go. HTMA stands for hair tissue mineral analysis. It's actually just you take some of your hair and we can see what minerals you are depleted in. So are you low in sodium and potassium? Are you losing magnesium or calcium because your body's so stressed out you're losing it in the soft tissue? Do you have other, there's about 80, I think 80-ish minerals that are on here and heavy metals that we can see. So we look to see what's going on there. We look at a Dutch for stress and hormones because it's really important to see what your stress and hormone, not only your levels, but your patterns during the day. This is not a blood test. A blood test is one point in time. That doesn't give us any valuable information. We need to see your pattern throughout the day. And then we have a GI testing for gut health. Now, I'm giving you these tests not because you have to do these first. Like I said, you can do the basics first. Support your minerals, blood sugar, cortisol, nervous system reset, all of those things I said a minute ago. If you focus on those and then you're still not getting the results you need, that's when you start doing testing. Because the testing lets us see specifically for your body, where are the holes, right? Where are the areas where your body is deficient and we need to support it? And like, where are things breaking down? So I want to briefly mention something here because for some women, not all, but some, once we've supported the foundation, there is still a gap, right? So their body could still be struggling to settle down at night, to stay asleep, or to fully recover. And so for those women, their body needs more support. And this is where I've started incorporating peptides into my work. And I'm not talking about Ozempic here. We're not going there today. But peptides, if you don't know, peptides are basically signals that help your body do what it's already trying to do, just more efficiently. And in this case, what that looks like is supporting deeper sleep, calming that wired but exhausted feeling, helping the body actually shift out of that stuck state. And for the right person, this is often the piece that finally gets things moving again. But, and this is important, this only works when the body is supported first, right? So we have the foundations in place. Otherwise, it's just another thing you're trying to force your body to do. So I want to restate, your body is not broken. It is responding to something. And once you understand what that is, sleep becomes something we can actually get again. We can actually get sleep again. Yay. And again, this is where, there's a point in here where women get stuck because you start to realize, okay, this makes sense. But then the question becomes, what do I actually do with this information? And I want to leave you with this. If you're sitting here thinking, this is me, if you're doing everything right and your body still isn't responding, that is not something you just have to live with. And it's also not something you have to keep guessing your way through, because what we talk today isn't random. Again, it's your body responding to something. And once you understand what that is, everything starts to make a lot more sense. And that's why I created my midlife body code quiz. It's a really simple way to start understanding what your body is actually doing right now and what it needs to, what needs to come first, right? How do we support it? So instead of trying to do everything, you can focus on the right things. So if that resonates with you, I'll put the link up here. I'll also put it in the comments below. And if you're someone who's been dealing with this for a while and you're tired of trying to tired of trying things that don't work, I do offer a limited number of deeper personalized lab reviews where we can actually look at what's going on in your body. So if you already have lab work and you've been told, oh, everything's normal, it looks good, and you're like, I will take a look at your labs from a functional medicine perspective and let you know what's really going on. Now, I only open a few of these each month. So if you're interested, I'd grab one sooner rather than later. And again, I'll go ahead and drop all those links in the chat. Now, there were some questions that came up on our first version of this recording. So I will go ahead and pull those up here. Let's see. So some of the questions were, first of all, what should I take for sleep? And that is usually the first question. I get it, right? Everyone's like, what do I take? The truth is, what helps one person doesn't necessarily help another. So it's hard to give a blanket, what does one take? But also, there's a reason why you're not sleeping. And the reason why Jane isn't sleeping isn't necessarily the same reason Rhonda isn't sleeping, because those sleep issues are coming from different places in the body. So really the question, instead of asking what should I take, it should start with, why isn't my body letting me sleep? Because that's where we see the biggest shifts. So just to give you some starting points, the best places to look at are nervous system dysregulation. Like, are you stressed during the day? If you're stressed during the day, your body likely cannot just turn it off at night to be like, oh, we're going to sleep now, right? So doing things to support your nervous system during the day, like we talked about, deep breathing, walks, nature, yoga, meditation, doing a dance party, get a punching bag, whatever works for you. Do something to reset your nervous system several times throughout the day if you're getting stressed. There are some supplements that can help with that. If you're working with a practitioner and those basic things are not working, you'd want to find out specifically why your body isn't responding to those. So that's number one. Number two is the blood sugar, right? Making sure you're regulating your blood sugar by eating enough food and getting enough protein during the day. And number three is those minerals, balancing your minerals. So making sure you're getting calcium, sodium, magnesium, potassium, all your trace minerals. And again, if you want to know specifically what those are for you, there are tests for that. I think the second question that came in was, well, I am going through menopause, or I'm in perimenopause. So is this just hormones? Like, is this just something I have to accept? And I'm going to answer the second question first. No, this is not just something you have to accept, because hormones are a part of it, but they are not the whole picture, right? Hormones are decreasing, which is making our body more sensitive to things, which means we have to be more sensitive to our body. We have to basically take better care of it than we were doing in our 20s and 30s, right? Like, in your 20s, you could probably go on an all-nighter, stay up all night doing a paper, drink coffee all the next day, and you'd be fine. How many of us can do that in our 40s, 50s, 60s? Not too many, because our bodies, basically, it doesn't compensate for us as well. So we need to take better care of it. So when it comes to hormones, especially, like I said, they are part of the picture, but they are not the whole picture, because your nervous system, your blood sugar, your minerals, they are all influencing how your hormones behave. And even if you are postmenopause, I know a lot of women postmenopause will say, well, I don't have any hormones. That is not true. You have less estrogen and progesterone than you used to have, but you still have them. And you also still have testosterone, DHEA, cortisol. You have several hormones. And how you treat your body in terms of the nervous system regulation, the blood sugar, the minerals, will either support your hormones or will not support your hormones, will make it harder for them to do their jobs. So if we only look at hormones, we are usually missing the bigger picture. I think another question was, I wake up at 3 a.m. every night. What does that mean? And I know we talked about it a little bit in the presentation. The 3 a.m. wake ups is one of the most common patterns that I see. And it usually means your body is trying to stabilize something. So it's usually either blood sugar or cortisol. So somebody who's not eating regular meals throughout the day, or someone who is really stressed throughout the day and doesn't have a way or hasn't found a way to release that stress. So instead of being a sleep issue, it's really the body trying to regulate something underneath. And then another question was like, what is the first thing I should do? Well, the first thing you should do really is just to look at supporting your body throughout the day, right? So I've mentioned several times the blood sugar, the cortisol, the nervous system. So what you do during the day has a huge impact on how your nighttime goes. So if you're not eating enough, you're not getting enough protein, if you're running on empty in terms of your minerals or your food, what happens during the day directly impacts your night. So focusing on prioritizing how you support your body during the day will have a very drastic impact on how well you sleep at night. So I worked in an insomnia clinic for over a year. I had several clients who we would spend 6 months going through this process. And so, because it is hard to change your life around, it is hard to remember to do things to support your nervous system. And they would come to me and they would be sleeping. And then all of a sudden they'd have a stressful day at work, or they'd have something stressful going on in their personal life. And all of a sudden they wouldn't sleep again, and it would click. and they realized, oh my gosh, my stress during the day, or how I react to stress, how I support my body during stress, directly impacts how well I sleep at night. So if you get nothing else from this presentation, hopefully that sticks, and you are able to find a way to support your nervous system during the day so that your body can let you sleep at night. I think the last question is, when should I get testing? So basically, if you have tried the basics, all those foundations that I listed out, and you are still stuck, that is when testing becomes really helpful, because it takes the guesswork out, because we can actually see what your body is doing, not like what people's bodies do in general, right? We can see what your body is doing, and we can build a plan around that. So if you're still sitting there thinking, this is me, the best place to start is just understanding what your body is doing right now. That's why I created the Midlife Body Code quiz. So go ahead and grab that link, and hopefully this was helpful. See you soon.